Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday Snippets with Michelle from the National Association of Digital Scrapbookers. So a few weeks ago, Karen talked a lot about stamps and how to use stamps. For the next 3 weeks, VickiRobinson.com is going to be talking about brushes, and I think you're really going to like working with brushes. If you want to find more out about this class and you want to find the full entire class, go into the 2020 members classes and scroll on down and go to number 2, and you should see where it says stamp and brush work with Vicki. So take a look at that if you are a member. If not, for the next 3 weeks you'll find out a little bit more about brushes. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye for now.
Okay, great. If you've attended any of my, and can you guys, before I start, can you see my cursor with the red circle around it? Can everybody see that? It looks okay?
Yes.
All right, I'm just trying to get the circle not too big so it wouldn't be distracting. If you've taken any classes from me before, you probably already know how much I absolutely adore brushes. I adore them so much. This is the second class that I'm teaching for the members here. The last one was in March. It was Understanding Brushes. It was at the summit, so it was like an hour and a half long. So I'm going to refer you back to that for some of the basics. This is actually a link that will take you right into the membership area. If you're not logged in, you'll have to log in when you get there. But we won't be talking about things like all the brush tool options and settings and different kinds of tools that use different kinds of brushes in today's class. But I did want to make sure that we're all on the same page about brushes in case you are new to Photoshop Elements or just need a little bit of a refresher. Brushes are basically graphics that Adobe has bundled together in its own file type. It's a .abr, that means Adobe brush file. And pretty much the only applications that can open up an ABR file are Elements and the full version of Photoshop. I did hear tell that there are some apps on the iPad now that can actually import ABR files, but for the most part, they're specific to Adobe. Now, brushes can be anything. They can be decorative elements, scribbles, doodles, paint strokes, and I'm going to show you some of those. And we use them not only to maybe draw on your page, but to add some interest and dimension and some texture. I love brushes so much. I think they're so important to my pages. I did a scan this morning and I have 2,200. I'm embarrassed by that. 2,200 ABR files. I make a lot of brush files. I sell a lot of brush files. And I just think they're a tool in your arsenal. And if you know different ways you can use them, it might open up your creativity a little bit. Now, some brushes act like rubber stamps. If you picture a rubber stamp and you put it on an ink pad and you stamp it down, there are brushes in Elements that work that way. It's a one-trick pony. You stamp it down and you have your image. And then some other brushes are more like paint brushes. You're meant to drag your mouse across the screen to see the effect of the brush. And sometimes those brushes are even a little more cool, and we refer to those as dynamic brushes. We're going to be making one of those today. I have to apologize because somehow these two slides got out of order. So if you're following along, we're going to come back to this one. We're going to be doing this one first. This is a page where I have basically used 5 different brush techniques on the page. And take a look at it. You can look at it a little closer when I open up Elements. But I want you to take a look and see, I've kind of given you a hint here because it's there on the left. But take a look and see if you can identify offhand what might be those brushes. And this is quite a brush heavy page. Almost everything on this page, except for a couple of kit elements, actually are brushes. So let's sort of dive right in here and let's take a look at this. The first thing that I wanted to show you, I've got all my layers over here and I've got all my files down here, but the first thing I wanted to show you is how you can use brushes that are built into Adobe to actually draw some of your own little elements here. And let me hide the photos here so that you can see that this squiggle here is actually a brush. I used an Adobe brush and modified it and then actually drew on my screen. And I want to show you how to do that. Has anybody ever used brushes like that before?
Yes, says Cindy. No, says Janie.
Okay, I'm going to add a new layer. The first rule of using brushes is to always brush on a new layer. Let me hide my squiggle here so you can see it a little better. The first rule is always to do brush work on a new layer so that if you need to make changes, if you don't like it, it's easy to get rid of it. I'm going to press B on my keyboard for the brushes, and I'm going to open up the brush picker, and I'm going to choose the dry media brush. If you don't see that when you go in the brush picker, just choose it from the menu here. And I'm going to choose the graphic pencil, which is down here, graphite pencil. And I'm going to set this, it's set at this number here represents the size of the brush. I'm going to set this a little higher at 13, maybe 14 here. And I'm going to leave all these other settings alone. Now I am simply making sure that my blank layer is targeted, and let's go ahead and choose a black color chip here so you can see it. I'm simply going to click and drag my mouse on the page. Now this takes a little getting used to. I'm making it look easy because I've done this hundreds of times. So it takes a little bit of control with the mouse. I'm not using my pen for this. I'm just using my mouse. And there you've got it. I mean, how simple is that? It happens to fit this page because this is Ella being so engrossed in learning how to scribble in her coloring book. So for me, that's what I wanted on this page. But you could make this as sophisticated as you want. You could actually write your name. You could draw just a border around something, but I'm using Adobe's brushes to do that. Now that we've got a brush here that we can actually scribble with, let's make sure that we save it so that we can use it again. I'm coming to the brush picker here, and you see it says graphite pencil. Well, this brush is already here, I want a graphite pencil that is my 14 pixels. So I'm going to come to the menu option here, and I'm going to choose Save Brush. And that Save Brush is going to allow me to save this modified version of the graphite pencil. So I'm saving brush, and now let's just call this Scribble. Now, the honest truth is, I'm not really saving this brush. I'm actually just creating a brush called Scribble. If I were to go and change brush sets right now, the way Elements works, this scribble brush is going to disappear. So I need to make sure before I do anything else that I save it. And I'm going to do that by coming to the menu and choosing Preset Manager. And then it's the very last brush over here. It's that 14 brush. I'm going to click on that, say Save Set. And then I'm going to navigate to a folder where I want to store any of my personal brushes. I already have one here called Scribble Brushes, so I'm just going to give it that same name and save. See, it names it for you .abr, Adobe Brush File, and then click Save. I'm replacing that one, and then we're done.